Good morning, lab assistants. This morning, I'm going to do a bit of a lesson on how to use Premiere Pro, just kind of the basics of using Premiere Pro. It's going to be a rough lesson, like we're not going to clean up the video and the audio and stuff like that. This is just for you guys for reference. This isn't for public release. So one of you still hasn't done your intro video, so I thought I'd better take a little bit of time here and show you guys how to use Premiere Pro. Just the basic tools, basically what I know about it. There's a lot I don't know about it at this point. And so to get started here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Premiere Pro. So before I can screen record Premiere Pro, it has to be open. You can't screen record the desktop in Windows. So I'm going to press the Windows button, I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to press so I've got Premiere Pro open. Now I'm going to press the Windows button, and I'm going to press the key G. And that's going to bring me to my capture. So that'll be my games menu. And I can press start recording. And it's giving me grief here. So I'll exit this, and then I'll reopen it. Okay. So open up Premiere Pro. When it becomes open, then I will open the games recorder. So demo for lab assistants, we'll open that up, that project, and Windows G. Okay, so I have to click on the, there we go. Okay, I just had to click on it to make it active first. It wasn't active because it was open, but it was in the background. So I clicked once on Premiere Pro, and now it's active. Okay, so this is our Premiere Pro screen. Up here in the corner, that's where the video is going to be previewed. This window here can flip between a few things. What I find it most used for is editing, and you'll see the stuff for editing a little bit later on up there. Here we go, up in this corner here. When we get some materials in there, you'll see information about the materials. I don't really like to look at the source up there because I can see it here. I don't care. Down here is our quick grab menu for the stuff that's available. You can see there's already some stuff in there. So there's two ways I can put something into this video timeline. So if it's over here, so raw and demo for lab assistants, this is the media that I've already brought in. So I'll just take it and I'll drag it over here. And it's going to go into our first video channel. So there's channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. If we need more channels, we just right click there and we can add a track, right? Or it's the same thing to delete a track, and these are audios. And so that was our opening screen that we want. We always want to go Laurier, then we go Science Maker Lab. So if I move the timeline over here, you can see that, it transitions between the two there. If we want to change the length of them, which we do, we want to change them to 3 seconds, I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to get a pop-up, which you won't see on this recording, but it will come up. And about 2/3 of the way down, there's a option called speed duration. So I'm going to click on speed duration. I'll get another pop-up, and I'll get 00 semicolon 00 semicolon 04 semicolon 29. So the last two, one is hours, minutes, seconds, but then the last one is actually frames. So that's 29 of 30 frames. So I'll change that to 03 colon 00. So that is now 3 seconds long. If I change it to 0315, that would be 3.5 seconds because it's in 30ths of a second. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll right click, grab my speed duration, and I'll change this to 03 semicolon 00. And that's now also 3 seconds. So those are now 3 seconds. That's 6 seconds off the front of the video. Okay, so now to add more media to this, you can grab it and bring it into this little part over here, but I find that kind of unnecessary and kind of a pain. So I can just go to File Explorer here, go down to Explorer, open it up, and I'm going to go and I'll grab some video here. And I'll just go to bike ride with Jill. Oh no, that doesn't have any sound to it. Okay. I'll go to July 4th club track, and I'll just grab a little bit of my video from when I was dirt biking that day. And for some reason, I've got video, but we don't have audio. Oh, that's because it's still an MOV. That's why. Okay, yeah, it doesn't like MOV files particularly. It likes MPEGs. So I'm going to go back here. Yeah, my little camera puts out MOVs and it fights me on them. So I'd go back here again, and I will grab June or July 10th. Where's July 10th? Okay, here we go. And MPEG-4, MPG-4. These guys have all been converted. So we'll bring this over, and then we've got sound and video. Okay, so you can see the top one here. This top line is video, and this is sound. Say audio 1, video 1, audio 1. If I move this up, right, audio 1 stays where it is, or I can move it as well, but they stay locked together. So say I don't want that audio. You know, what I can do is I can right click on it. I'll get my big drop down again, and it'll say unlink, right? So if I unlink, if I enable the unlink by clicking on it, then I have the ability to edit these separately, to move them to different points on the timeline. They're not locked together in time, and I can delete it completely. So when I do a lot of videos where I'm screen capturing, I will delete the sound to put my own sound over top of it. And then I can put that sound on any of these tracks that I want. Now, the order of importance on these tracks is 4, 3, 2, 1. So if I now go and I'll take another copy of Science Maker Lab and I'll drop it up here above 1. So on 2, 3, or 4, it doesn't matter which one, I'm going to get the same effect. It's going to be superimposed above. It's on a layer above layer 1. So we'll come back to that in a minute. For now, I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so you can see around the edges here in our preview window. So if I play this, it previews. And it's not moving yet, so I'll move it to a part where it moves. Because when I screen captured it, I screen captured dead air there for a little bit at the beginning. It was just waiting for me to press go on the video. Okay, so I'll move this back here, and it moves, right? And we've got our sound and everything. But what's going on, though, is that this doesn't quite fit. See how it's too small? So up over here in our editing, so if we've got editing, there's source, effect controls. Let's go back to editing here again. No clip selected. So let's go back to assembly. That's our main thing here. Going to click on this and go editing. Okay, so I had to have this activated. So now you can see the position is 916, 540. So if I go to 1,000, that's going to move it more to the right. 960, we'll put it back where it came from. 540, if I make that 600, it's going to push it down. Put that back to 540. The next one is scale. So any of these ones that are blue, we can adjust. So scale is 100. I'll change that to 105. That doesn't quite fit it. So let's try 112. And 112 fits the screen pretty much perfectly. So even though it came in at a slightly different size, I'm just going to adjust it so it fits. So now, while we're playing with that, I'm going to bring this guy back over here, right? And you can see it superimposes itself and hides the whole thing. So I'm going to go on there and I'm going to click on Science Maker Lab, and I'm going to make it the active one. So now I can take that and I'll say make that 25% of the size. But that's right in the middle of the screen, so I don't want that. So I'll go say 1800, too much, 1700, a little too much still, 1650, okay, that's good. And then we'll go 900, and that puts it down in the lower corner, and I've got a picture in picture, right? Because this is superimposed on top of that. So that's how you do picture in picture, is you can do it like that. If I wanted to do split screen, then I need to crop it. So I'll show you that as well while we're at it. So we'll go back to 900 and 540. It wasn't 900, was it? It was 960. 960, 540, and we'll go back up to 100%. So if I wanted to split screen this thing, right, what I could do, say I want to keep just the Science Maker Lab part. I'm going to go over to Effects, right? And I'm going to go down to Video Effects and Transform. So if you've done any work on Adobe Photoshop, you know that transform is how you move something or resize it or rotate it and stuff like that. So go transform, and I'm going to go crop. I'm going to take that, I'm going to drag that and drop it onto the clip that I want to be able to crop. So now if I go back to editing, I now have the option to crop it here, which I didn't have before. So I'm going to crop it from the left by say 25%, maybe 24. 24. Nope. 23. Okay. And then from the right, we'll also go 23. Okay, so now we've cut this into a bit of a square, right? And now position-wise, we'll go, say, 1,300. Try 1,400. Yeah, 1,400 is good. And then scale. So scale is uniform scale. So scale width, I'm going to take that down to 80. No, 90. Right, so that's how I can stretch it side to side, and then I'll just move my position a little bit more. So I'll try 1,500. Too much. 1,450. That's about right. Okay, so now I've got the screen split about 50-50, but the view of the motorcycle is off to the right. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to go Effects, and I'm going to grab Crop, and I'm going to drop it onto that one. All right, so now when I go back to editing, I'll be able to crop it. So left, we'll take 25% off, and right, we'll take 25% off, and let's move it horizontally by decreasing this number to say 600, 500, 450, too much, 475. Okay, so we've got our one screen, we've got our other screen, and we've got a little black line in between. So we now have split screen. So now when I play this, both of those will play as normal. And that's a split screen versus a picture-in-picture. Okay, so another thing we may want to do, I'll just get rid of this because we don't really want that, is we may want to put comments from time to time. Okay, so I'll click on this guy, and I'll get rid of the cropping. So we'll go 0, 0, no more cropping. And we'll take this back to 960. There we are. Okay, so we've got the whole thing now. And I want to put a comment up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the T here for text, and I draw a box where I want the text to be. And I will go Jingle Bells, Batman smells. Okay, and I'll make that a small I. Okay, so that's my text. If I want to change that text, I highlight it. I come over to text and I drop it down. So I can choose my font here. And we'll pick our typical bugaboo that I like so much. If we want to change the color, we can come down here. We can pick a color and say OK. That'll change the color. If we want to change the size, we can use this slider to change the size. The positioning works like normal, and it will position the entire box. So if I've got it and it's not quite centered, I can use this position to fine tune it. The scale will also work on the box, but it won't work, I don't think, on the lettering. Let's try it. Oh no, it works in the lettering as well, so I can scale the whole thing. Okay, and so say I want to fade that in and out. I think it's not so nice when it comes along and just pops up, right? Then I'm going to go to effects, and I'm going to go get a video effect. And in this time, though, instead of a transform, I'm going to get a video transition. And I can get dissolve, all sorts of different ones. Dissolve I like. Additive dissolve is just a simple where it just kind of fades out of one and fades into the other. But there's kind of cool stuff too. There's like iris, and we'll go iris box, and we'll drag that onto here, onto the beginning. And you can see the length of time that it goes for here. So just like before, I can right click on it. I'll get a little pop up and I can say set transition duration, and it's 1 second. And so I will take it to say 2/3 of a second. So I'll change it to 0.0000. And then for 2/3 of a second, I'm going to say 20/30ths of a second. Right? And so now when we come here, that's going to like open from the middle out, which is the iris one. And then if we want it to go away in a different way, I'm going to go down here to page peel, and I'll go page peel, and we'll see that it'll disappear in a different way. So that's pretty cool. So that's a transition, and we can use them between any of our elements. And you can also drag them so that they straddle the two, or that they're all in one of the elements or the other of the elements. Right? So that's how we adjust those. Okay, so say I was a real slime ball and I wanted to like play head games with my friends, right? And make it out like I was faster than I was in these videos, because we've been virtually racing each other with these videos, which is actually kind of fun. I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to crop this to a shorter length so we can work with it. So I'll crop it to about 5 minutes here on the timeline. Okay, so 5 minutes. Good enough, close enough. Okay, I will go over here. I'm going to check this razor tool. And I come down and I'm going to put it where I want it and click. And you can see now these are separate. So I'll go back to my pick tool. And now I can pick them independently. Right? Okay, so that's like 5 minutes worth of video. Forget it, I'll take it down to like 2. Okay, so now you can see how I'm moving along the timeline. I'm sliding this little slider at the bottom. If I want to make the timeline compress, I can stretch out that slider. If I want to zoom in on a certain time to have a better look at, fine detail on time, I can slide it so it's smaller, and that gives me kind of a zoom in. So I'll go out here and I'll go to about 2 minutes. Grab my cutter again, click, grab my grab tool, delete. Okay, and then I'm going to just slide this slider in so that this thing fills pretty much the screen. That's too much, so I'll slide it back out again. There we go. So now we can see the whole movie, right? So now, say I wanted to fool my friend Max in the club that I'm faster than him. What I could do is I can actually speed up or slow down this clip, and I can do it quite easily. If I go to this tool here, I've got ripple editing tool, rolling editing tool, and rate stretch tool. So the rate stretch is a really easy way to speed up or slow something down. So what I do is I'll grab that tool, make that active, come and grab this edge, and you can see it's got the 2 little arrows on it. And I'll drag this back here, right? And I'll give it a little bit of a second to work here. I'll go back to my grabber tool, and so suddenly I'm a lot faster, and also my bike sounds like a 2-stroke instead of a 4-stroke all of a sudden. If I could ride like that, I'd be making my living doing that. So that's rate stretch, and we can do it the other way. So I use that a lot, actually making the videos to make sure that the timing of what I'm showing on video matches the timing of what I'm talking about when I'm making those instruction videos. I'll stretch or shrink a lot of the little segments a lot. Okay. Okay, so that's those guys, and we've covered superimposing titles and stuff, and changing color. And so another thing that we can do is graphics. There's some pre-made graphics. So coming up next, angle coming up next, credits, titles, and these guys are like a pre-made full graphic. So if I drag that into here, right, then I'm going to have to put my timeline into it. Then I can double click, and I'll double click within it, and that allows me to change the title. So I go bye birdie. Okay. And then if I play it, you can see that it's already got its own transition and stuff built into it, or it kind of fades in and out. And just like anything else, we can change the time. We can drag it to get inaccurate, change the time, or we can right click, go speed duration, and we can set it to say 05:00, and that'll make it 5 seconds long. Okay, so that covers the basics. So if you want to put a picture in, like one of the things that I specified for you guys to do was to make sure that everything fits the screen at all times. So if I was going to bring in a picture that didn't fit the screen, so I'll go down to Explorer here and I'll go find a picture that I know doesn't fit the screen. So MakerLab Documents, MakerLab Photos, I'll go here, and we've got one of Calandra graduating. Okay, so I'll just drop that there on the timeline, and I'll bring my timeline over here. Now, the other thing you can do with the timeline, say you want to find a spot again, when it's at a place that you need it to be, you can click Add Marker, and that just gives you a little marker that you can go find again. Okay, so Calandra doesn't fit the screen there, right? So you can probably guess what we're going to do. We're going to click on that to make that active. We'll go to Editing, and we'll go to, say, 200%. That's not quite enough, so 210, 220. So 220 fits, but now we can't see your face, so we'll make that say 800, 1200, 1400, too much, 1300, and there we go. So now Calandra fits the whole screen. So that's how you make a photograph fit the screen. So it's not really cropped, it's just hanging out in space over here. But for our purposes, it gets cropped by the size of the screen, so we don't need to separately crop it. Okay, so delete. So we've covered kind of most of the main tools and how to bring things in and stuff like that, and the timeline, and that, it's very much just as it goes from left to right, it's there. You can see up here is your timer. So it's 55 seconds and 5 frames. This tells you your resolution that you're previewing in. So you can go full, half, quarter, right? So depending on how powerful your machine is, you may want to knock that down to a quarter, because if it previews less zoomed in, less resolution, just like the CAD, it uses a lot less processor and video card time, and it'll work faster. So you'll get less halting and holding up and stuff. Okay, so the last thing we need to do, though, is we need to export, right? So it likes MP4 files, right? If you've got something that's not an MP4 file, what you can do is you can use Medium Encoder to turn it into an MP4 file. So now I'm going to have to restart Game Recorder here. Sorry. When I left this screen, it stopped recording. Okay. Okay, so I just showed you guys video to go and get Media Encoder, and you can drag it into Media Encoder and re-export it as MP4 if you need to before you do it. So to actually make your video, though, to take your complete video and export it as an MP4, I like to go to the very end here. Man, I wish I could ride that fast. Well, actually, probably don't. Probably scare the crap out of me. Okay, so now that's at the end, I'm going to add a mark out. I'm going to go right back to the beginning by using this control, and I'll add a mark in. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying this is the area that we're concerned about, right? So now I'll go File, I'll save if I want to save this, which I usually do. I'm going to go Export, though, and I'm going to go Media. And this is, their stuff is not the nicest. So I get Export Settings, and it'll say match sequence settings. Yep, okay, that's fine. I can change how sharp it is and stuff, but there's really no sense in trying to make it higher resolution than what you started with. You can put comments, output name. So if I double click on the output name, not only do I get to set the name, that also sets where it's going to be. So I'm going to put this back in my fast action SolidWorks lessons, and I'm going to make a new folder called Rough Premiere Pro Lesson. Okay, and I'll put it into there, and I'll go RPP lesson for SMLLA. Rough Premiere Pro lesson for Science Maker Lab lab assistants. And it's an MP4 file. And I'll say save. It's not actually going to do anything yet, though. Right? Because to actually get it to export, that just tells it where we're going to put it and what we're going to call it. Then I have to come down to the bottom and I have to press export. And now I'll get a pop-up saying rendering required, export audio files, and it'll do that. And then it will do the entire video for me. Okay. So that is the very basics of using Premiere Pro. And, you know, you can explore in and around that stuff. Then the nice thing for me is that to load videos in, all I have to do is drag them to the timeline. On my old video editor, what I actually have to do is I have to go and import them, which doesn't really bring them in. It just creates an association. It's almost like how the assembly file works in CAD, but they have to be in this like import file folder, or the links to them have to be in the import file folder for me to put them in the timeline. Then I can drag them from there to the timeline. So this is actually a little bit easier than that once I figured out that I can just drag things from any folder directly into that timeline. And I like being able to zoom and unzoom the timeline very easily to have a look at stuff. So there'll be times where I'm talking when I'm doing these instruction videos, and there's a bunch of clicking and stuff that I have to do in the video part of it, but my talking got ahead of it. So I just go down to the timeline, spread it out, find a gap between where I've talked, cut it, and then slide the talking over to the right so that it's matched up to where the video is again, so the video has time to catch up. Okay, so that is about it for the lesson. That should get you started. It's not perfect, but then I don't know all that much about Premiere Pro yet, but this is certainly enough to get your 1-minute video. Okay, thanks guys. Take care.